Greetings, fellow makers! This is the Real Melky. Welcome back to my lab. Today we are continuing our work on the Epyon Gundam. Yes, we're doing foam work in the lab because it is like 180 degrees in the factory today. It's too hot. I can't work in there. Also, to show all you beginners that you don't really need a big workshop or lots of fancy tools or whatnot. You will need some power tools. We'll get into that later. But mostly, all you need is a table and a window to vent those fumes out. And we'll get to that later. So, let's get started. Alright, for this build, we're going to need some stuff. Obviously, just like every other build. We're going to need some templates. You'll also need some EVA foam. For this, I'll be using 2mm, 6mm, that's this stuff, and 8mm foam. That would be this stuff right here. You will also need a marker of some sort. I use Sharpies. Very sharp Exacto knife. Oh, Exacto knife with a very sharp blade. You will need a heat gun. Down there. A heat gun to both seal and shape your foam. You'll need a rotary tool to round over any rough edges, clean up any cut marks or anything like that. Some contact cement. This is why we have a window that can open and respirators and all that stuff. You'll also need some sort of weight to make sure your pattern pieces don't slide all over the place when you're tracing them out. Okay, foam, wait. Alright, let's get started. Alright, I'm going to start by tracing out the 6mm pattern pieces. See, this is where these 1, 2, 3 blocks come in really handy. This thing is not moving, which is great. The piece is actually upside down because I had to flip it to make sure that I get both a left side and a right side, because I have a left thigh and a right thigh. And I already made one yesterday. What I'm doing now is adding these registration marks so that way things line up better. Oh, they line up well. Ish. Also, lettering and numbering the piece so I know what it is and what piece to glue it to and where to glue it. Just little tricks that will help make a really cool Gundam. Or whatever piece of armor or prop you happen to be working on. Speaking of, let me know what you're working on. Tell me in the comments. I'm curious to know. It's okay if the pieces don't line up exactly right, because foam is very forgiving that way. You can bend it a little bit, you can stretch it a little bit, you can even compress it a little bit. It's very easy to work with. This is piece 3. So I'm just going to continue tracing pieces until we get it all done. So I will come back when all the pieces are traced out. All the pieces are traced out onto their respective thicknesses of foam. And now I'm putting them back in the envelope. All my pattern pieces in an envelope. That way I know exactly where they are and there's no danger of them falling out like there would be in, say, a folder. Okay. Oh, one quick thing. These pieces, they called for 4mm foam. I don't have any 4mm foam at the moment. So what I did is I glued 2 pieces of 2mm foam together. I just didn't really feel like driving yesterday, so I did it this way. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is heat seal all these pieces before I cut them out. That way they won't be blowing around on me, and I won't have to hunt them down. So, here we go. And now we use a heat gun to lightly go over these pieces and seal them. So that way, when I go to apply the chemical sealant, I think I'm going to use Rapid Fill and Fine Finish on these. It will stay on the surface and not just soak into the foam. Alright. And now these pieces are all heat sealed. I'm going to do that with the other pieces too. Off camera. Now, when you're heat sealing the thinner pieces like these are 2 layers of 2mm foam. When they're really thin like this, you want to keep the heat gun moving very quickly. So that way you don't heat all the way through the foam. Because you don't want to burn your foam. You only want to melt that top layer. Like this. See how it's curling right here? That's because the heat is already going all the way through going through all the layers of foam right here. And now that the pieces are all heat sealed and tray starred and whatnot, it is time to cut them out, which is where our very sharp Exacto knife will come in to play. Now, what I'm doing is cutting on the inside of my Sharpie line because that is the actual dimension of the piece. And this piece is surrounded by other pieces on all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. And there are no arrows indicating that it needs to be bevel cut, which is good. Because although bevel cuts are very cool, they can also be tricky. Normally, I try to cut all the way through the foam on the first cut, but sometimes you just can't do it. So we'll have to clean this up with our rotary tool. And I'm just going to cut out all the rest of these pieces. Alright, now that all the pieces are cut out, it is time to go over the raw edges, like this one. And this one, and this one, with the rotary tool, so they will stick together better. So, here we go! The goal here is to get rid of any hairs on the foam and clean up any bits where I had to tear the foam off. Just like this. And now I'm going to do that to all of these pieces right here. So I will come back when that's done. Alright. And now it is time to glue pieces together. For this, we will be using barge contact cement, as well as wearing a respirator. Because this stuff, while it's great at gluing foam together, it is not great for breathing. So, respirator. Actually, I'll do that take again. Okay, now that the pieces are all cut out, it is time to glue them together. For this, we'll be using barge contact cement. And while this stuff is great for gluing the foam together, it is not great for breathing. So I'll be wearing a respirator. Also got my air filter on and window open. And if you have any pets, make sure they are not in the room with you while you are doing this. Because if it's bad for you, it's bad for them. Now, the way contact cement works is you apply it to both surfaces you want to attach, like A and B, like this piece, and B and A of this piece, and so on and so on. Wait for it to fully dry, about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where you are. And then you attach the pieces together. So, here we go! Also, make sure you only put the contact cement where you want it, because it will change the color a little bit of your paint. You'll actually be able to see where any drips or supposed to or anything like that happen. So just be sure to only get it on the edge if you want to attach edges. Like this. And I'm going to apply that to all the pieces you see here. The same exact way. So, I'll be back when that's done. Alright. It's been about 10 minutes and the glue has dried. You can see when it's dry because one, it's kind of a little bit tacky, but it's not shiny anymore. It doesn't look wet, which is good because that's what we want. So, here we go. Now, I'm going to use the surface of my table to slowly and carefully bring these two pieces together. And you will note that these two pieces are not the same thickness. I did that on purpose. So that way, there would be a little bit of dimensionality to the thigh guards. These pieces, pieces 1 and 3, are the same thickness, which is what it looks like on the model. Which I'll most likely display in this corner of the screen. Now, you would think I'd want to attach pieces, well, edges C and C first. No. What I'm going to do is attach pieces 4 and 2 first, along the A edge right here. Because it is very important that these two pieces align. And then I will slowly place these two edges together. Like that. And I'll just clean this little thing up with my rotary tool. Alright. Now it's time for lunch, so I'll be back when I'm done eating. Okay, pieces 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all glued together. Now it's time to add pieces 10, 11, 8, 6, and whatever these pieces are. Which needs more contact cement, respirator, and ventilation. I'm going to start with pieces 10 and 11. Contact cement to the edge, just like with the other pieces. And let's hope YouTube doesn't take down my video because there's Zelda music playing in the background.
And now we wait about 10 minutes for this glue to dry. And then we come back and attach it. You know the drill.
Okay, so I have glued all these pieces together. They're looking really great. There's some rounding over to do, but I can do that some other time. There's also some strapping and buckling to add so that it will actually stay on my thigh. But that will have to wait for another video because I'm going to do all the strapping and buckles and whatnot in a separate video. Which means this is the end of this one. So, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share if you want. And I will see you in the next video.